So I'm just waiting for my Soften Circle attendees to join the call tonight, but I have had just a little bit of guidance that I I am being invited to share the transmissions from tonight more publicly via my YouTube channel. So I just wanted to come on and say hello to the viewers um, of the Alexandra Wenman YouTube channel and show, and just to say hello. So the Softened Circle is really a safe and sacred space that is donation based, and just for us to join on the first Tuesday of every month to soften into ourselves and just to receive whatever healing and comfort and guidance we need as a group. And some of the work we do is really powerful. We have really beautiful personal deep sharings, which I won't be sharing here publicly. But some of the information that is coming through is really information for the collective, and it just helps us to navigate our way forward um, into these kind of uncertain times, giving us a little bit more of a compass, like an inner compass and a rudder to steer with, but also giving us space to kind of process anything that we might be feeling a little bit stuck on. And it's a really gentle, loving space, and we meet each other in unconditional love. And one of the reasons I set it up is because I need a space like that as well, which is why it's donation, very low cost, or even free for those who can't afford it. So I hope that you enjoy the transmission. Okay, so we've just had a little bit of a group share, and there's quite a few themes coming through for the group tonight, and lots of themes around being in groups and being in relationships and the massive evolution. It seems to be that we're all going through a massive evolution in terms of our relationships and the way that we relate and the way that we've allowed ourselves to be related to in the past, as we, especially as empaths and sensitives and healers, and those of us that have often kind of found our identity in relationship to others, but as we come into our own and as we realize, oh, who am I in relation to myself without anyone else's input and anyone else's kind of projection or needs coming into that, there's quite a simultaneous unraveling and letting go, and a simultaneous blossoming that's happening at the same time. And it feels like we're kind of right in this huge kind of internal transformation, transition, more than I think we ever have been. And that way of relating is really up leveling on a personal level and then on a global conscious level. But tonight, even before I came online, my guides just keep repeating to me, repeating again and again and again this one phrase. And I want to lean into this a little bit, and I want to feel into what it means for us as individuals, as a group here, and also as a collective. And they keep saying, you are coming out of the belly of the beast. You are coming out of the belly of the beast. And it really feels like, and I know on a personal level, I mean, I've been on such a long, dark walk through the underworld that I didn't think I was ever going to come out of it. And I am starting to see just hints, like glimmers of hope returning, and little kind of shards of light coming into that kind of darkened space. But the feeling around this is, can we trust it? Is it going to last? Do I dare let myself receive these glimmers of hope? Do I dare let myself trust? So, and I'm getting, that there are these little opportunities that are coming through, and that they're just showing them to me like shards of light peering in, coming in through a crack in a window into a dark room. And it's like, oh, there's a little opportunity. That feels really good, and I really want to trust it. But what if it goes pear-shaped again? Or what if it ends up being like it used to be? Or what if I don't get what I'm really hoping for? But they're kind of saying it's okay to tread cautiously, because it's going to stop us from flipping into overexcitement or overjoy, and it's keeping us on this kind of even, more balanced, more harmonious keel. It's almost like they're saying it's not about treading cautiously out of any kind of fear, but it's about treading gently and taking our time and feeling our way forward. Because there are many of us that have been pulled, off our path and into somebody else's adventure or into somebody else's agenda, or found ourselves, propping up everybody else, but then at the cost of our own needs and our own wants and our own desires. And that can leave us feeling really just downright exhausted and drained. So they're saying, tread gently, take your time, feel into these opportunities. Some of them will be right. Some of them might be tests, and it's about really feeling it like a current in your body. Is this the path? Is that the path? Is this for me? Is that not for me? And exercising your right to say yes and no, and until you know, exercising your right to sit back and observe and go, I don't know yet. If you don't know yet which way you want to go or where you want to go, there's some of us that previously, just through sheer survival, used to throw ourselves headlong down a path just to get away from the previous path that was painful, right? Oh God, I've got to run, I've got to bolt, I've got to go, fight or flight. Or those of us that would happily go along with somebody else's path in a fawning response, again out of survival. Here, let me help, let me please you, but at the cost of ourselves. So as we come out of this kind of quagmire of the belly of the beast and the underworld that we've been really walking, and those of us really on a magical path have been leading the charge in this, and many of us are utterly exhausted. We are really needing opportunities to gather in safe connections and safe groups where we know we're going to be safe, where we feel that we can be held in the arms of the angels and in the arms of our higher selves. And the real the rudder that's coming in here, and I spoke about this in my Foothold on the Future webinar as well, is the rudder that is really the strongest here is to follow what brings you joy, to follow your heart and what's going to light you up with pleasure, and how can you bring more of that into your daily waking life and existence in order to lift yourself out of that belly of the beast. And even there may be things that you don't know that are going to delight you until you try them, or that you maybe remember from childhood that you haven't connected with. But it might be worth sitting down and just doing a little list of what would bring me joy, or thinking about things and trying them on for size, kind of feeling, well, would I like to go and try this or that, or do that again, or would that serve me, or would, even if it's just I feel like I want to phone this particular friend, I haven't spoken to them for a while, and then reaching out. So these little things that have no other purpose other than to spark pleasure and joy, okay? So it doesn't have to be something that is oh, I must do this because it's going to further my career, or I have to do that because it's going to earn me money, or I need to help this person and that person. Where we spoke about the Maslow's basic core human needs, but this is above that. This is what does your soul need? What does your spirit need? What is it that you want just for the sheer life pleasure of it, that will feed your spirit, that will feed your heart, that will feed your being and feed your essence and fuel your zest for life, and help you remember that hearth fire in the heart that when it's stoked really brings hope back, really brings it back into play. And this is your real fuel. We previously, I think, as a humanity, have had all these weird distortions and reversals where it's almost suffering is our fuel for growth. Well, it doesn't have to be. Can't joy be our fuel for growth? Can't we, instead of running from what we don't want, or digging through our shadow, which we've been doing for a long time now, can't we put our focus and our attention on projecting into our future that which we do want, and having that flip, and really seeing our lives as already healed, whole and perfect, and really imagining that beautiful future for ourselves? And of course, healing is a bit of both. We're in a realm of duality. We're always going to be tidying up our mess and, all of that. But we're always going to have the contrast. And once we honor that, once we really acknowledge that, and we're not going, oh, I need to get to this place so that everything can be perfect so that I no longer have any pain or any fear, right? As long as we know we're always going to have a bit of both, then we can kind of come into balance and go, well, that will always come up. I just don't need to sit in fear that it's going to come up. It becomes more subtle. So the joy factor becomes more subtle, but we know that it's there and it can be there at all times. And the pain factor can become then more subtle and things can come into balance. And it's more just that, again, that sitting back, that observing, allowing things to unfold. And I think at this time, the thing that's coming through for me really loud and clear is that our soul is leading much more powerfully than our human selves now. We really have gone through this transition where the higher self knows exactly what it's doing, and we just really need to trust in that unfoldment. So on that note, there's a couple of little passages and things that I just wanted to read. And the first thing is, it's a passage from my book, Archangel Alchemy Healing, but I just kind of flipped it open at the page. And it opened to this prayer to Archangel Nuriel. And it's about the purging by fire, but it leads really beautifully into this chapter on like poetry and beauty. So I'm going to read the whole passage and the poetry that's coming through as just a sharing, and it really speaks to this contrast. But we have powerful Nuriel here amongst us tonight, and this is for all of us a protection, a purging, and a transmutation. So it's chapter 16, and it says purging by fire. At some point on the so-called spiritual journey, you will find yourself being purged in the holy fires of transformation. As you burn, you will need to constantly remind yourself that this is exactly what you have been asking for. Nobody embarks on such a path without some form of change in mind. The transformation may begin as soft and soothing, and indeed, when you first invite the angels in, they will be just that. But if you choose to proceed and go on proceeding in the devotion to knowing yourself, truly knowing yourself, at some point, those gentle, coaxing angels will turn fierce. When this happens, their love for you will be no less compassionate, but they will waste no time in stripping you of all the lies and falsehoods you have gathered up in the small corners of your egoic mind. If your soul deems you worthy and ready for it, Pandora's proverbial box will pop its lid, and your carefully constructed world may feel as though it is literally being blown to smithereens. I have known this path many, many times, and each time it hits, it is no less unsettling. But the acceleration that awaits you on the other side makes for one euphoric ride. What will you purge in the fires of transition? No matter what happens, be fiercely compassionate in staying true to yourself, your values, your truth, and your path. The Archangel's Staircase of Ascension, the process outlined in the previous chapter, is designed to offer you a safe container in which to navigate your transition. There are archangels for just about every stage you will encounter. You don't have to move up the staircase in a linear process. If you wish, you can pick and choose which angel resonates with you best for any given moment, and then work solely with them, or choose a combination of these loving beings to offer you support. And you don't have to read the book to do that. You can just call on any angel, even if you don't know which one, okay? Any guide, any being, higher self, depending on the set of circumstances or emotions you're dealing with. For example, you may call on the following angels, Sariel and Zafkiel, to help you navigate the dark. Uriel, to shroud you in the flames of forgiveness. Jeremiel or Jeremiel, to offer mercy. Azrael, to carry you across the threshold. Raphael, to help you heal old wounds. Michael, to protect and shield you. Shamuel, to cradle you in the deepest love. And Shekinah, to loosen your grip on resistance and soften you into grace. Following the alchemical pathway of the Staircase of Ascension to connect you with the 40 loving archangels of ascension flames will enable you to receive their healing gifts, guidance, and support. May peace guide you through these inflaming times. And this is a prayer to the Archangel Nuriel. A beautiful archangel to call upon is Nuriel. Known as the Archangel of Fire, She helps clear lower vibrational energies and even has the power to burn through and undo black magic and spells. Nuriel is like the angelic phoenix that will help you rise again, reborn from the ashes of any difficulties you are facing. So I'm just going to invite us to do a visualization, and I just want you to imagine this huge flaming phoenix fire protective angel Nuriel coming into your energy field. And if you want, you can close your eyes and connect with her and just create your own relationship with this beautiful being. And we're just going to imagine that she's putting a circle of golden protective fire around your body, just at your feet on the earth. And I want you to imagine that you're standing in this protection. And then that creates a cylinder of this golden orange flaming fire up through your energy field all the way to source and then down through the earth. So you're sitting in this beautiful column of powerful protection. And just feel that these flames will not burn you, okay? These are healing flames. And we're going to invite that beautiful healing fire to now move through your energy field and clear off you any negative thought forms, any curses, any spells, any hexes from any timeline, from any lifetime. Now, it's really important to note that sometimes people might speak prayers about us and they might believe that they're praying for us or trying to save our souls, or that they are, coming from a good intention. But as Regina said, if somebody's praying for you and it's kind of more to do with their projection of you or their agenda or their need for power or their need to make you change, then that can actually have a negative impact on you, and it can be very disempowering, and then it means that it's not for your highest good. So anywhere anyone has sent thoughts or prayers or wishes or intentions, however well-meaning, if it is disempowering for you and if it is not aligning you to your soul's path, we're going to purge that out. So just very gently allowing Nuriel to work through your energy field now. And I'm just going to read, it's kind of a poem and a prayer to Nuriel that I channeled while I was writing the book. And she came to me, like they always come to me when I'm having my salt bath. She came to me in the bath one night, and I'd never heard of her before. And I was going through a really dark and tricky time, and it was so welcome. And I was like, wow, she is fierce. She's fierce, but in your favor. So a little bit like, if we think of when Sekhmet works as the protectress, it's like that. She takes no prisoners, but she's like to anyone trying to, steal your energy. And so it goes, she burns me, Nuriel, bringing redemption from hell, and hope of heaven swells within my breast, cracking shells of icicles laid to rest within these caves of solitude and grace. I burn for her, and in this torch touch of ecstasy and intimacy, I see clearly what is and isn't me, or meant for me to be. I surrender, I retreat, and fall to ash at my own feet, a phoenix cinder beaten to the dust, to spiral back to life with flaming, raging lust. I'm touched, I'm torched, my heart is deeply scorched and purified to rise reborn within the fires of love's new dawn. So we're going to allow her to continue working through us and with us for as long as we need her for. And this is going to work very much both on a conscious and subconscious level. So you don't always have to have your attention on her. We're going to ask her to remain with you for as long as you need her. And you can ask her to put that ring of fire around the whole planet if you want to, around your world, your universe, your work, your life, your money, all parts of you. And just call on her whenever you need her. She also works very closely with a beautiful spirit, and it's actually what we call a genie or a genius spirit. And these genius spirits are actually part of our own consciousness. And this genie is known as Suklagus. And Suklagus works underneath Nuriel and also brings that protective fire. So it can kind of work more closely to you on a human level because it's to do with your psyche. So one practice I love to do is I call Suklagus to put a ring of protective fire around my mental health. Because with all the changes we're going through on this planet, some of you might be experiencing something very akin to deep anxiety, depression. Transitions can bring uncertainty, and that can destabilize us on a mental level a lot, or an emotional level. So I put her around my mental health and I say, look, protect my mental health, keep my mind sound, help me to really see clearly, and around my emotional health, physical health, anything, all parts of you. But really, I've found that this genie and Nuriel combined, working as a protector of our mental health, is really stabilizing and can really purge out anything that is causing you to waver in that space and place, because we have technologies on this planet now that nobody really knows the byproduct of these technologies. We have an internet, and whether well-meaning or not, again, there's a lot of information flying around the ethers, and we're rising in sensitivity, which means those of us that, are sensitive to energy, pretty much everyone's going through this, whether they know it or not, but picking up on all that information. It's not now that we need to see it on television or hear it spoken. It's literally coming through us on a subliminal level 100% of the time. So it's, what are you tuning your frequency into? What are you picking up? Are you protecting your energy field? And are you choosing the frequency you want to operate at? So here's where we choose pleasure, we choose beauty, we choose joy. We think, what can I switch off from and tune into? So the next chapter, or part of this chapter, I've called it Poetry, the Alchemical Healing Language of the Angels. And I just want to read you this section as well. And it doesn't have to be poetry, but again, it's anything that is like your love language. Poetry, words, they're my love language. To me, it's the most beautiful thing to write beautiful words. But, it could be dancing, it could be music, it could be cooking, it could be gardening, it could be science, it could be mathematics, but whatever it is, okay? So somewhere beyond the realms of logic and ego lies the soul. As we awaken more to the soul's longing, align with the soul's desires, and remember the soul's calling, we deepen into our gifts of communication and unlock a kind of eloquence that can far better portray the sensory and emotive landscape that our true being and spirit inhabits. When I started writing poetry as a very young child, whenever I knew that I had written something really good, I somehow felt that it had come from outside of me. It was as though something opened up within my consciousness and the words just flowed through. I didn't know anything about channeling back then, but there was a certain energetic state I could go into. Whenever I wanted to put pen to paper and create something inspiring, I would slip to the back of my mind and tap into a sort of melancholic reverie where the words would just flow. I now know that the energy I was unconsciously slipping into was a kind of trance state. I was present, but also somewhere else. It was like someone had turned on a tap and I couldn't turn it off until all the words were down on the paper. It still happens to this day, especially if I am struggling with my emotions. I was badly bullied at school, and poetry became a way for me to be my own therapist. In a Catholic household where my father was a doctor and a man of science, my sensitivity was not understood or given space to be acknowledged or appreciated. I would often lock myself in my room for hours and just let the emotions flow through me and onto the page as words. Sometimes those words would seem jumbled and nonsensical, but then they would shape themselves into a cathartic revelation, which would help me make sense of what I was feeling or experiencing within my own emotional being. I still use this tool today, and I share my poems freely on Instagram and social media in the hope that they will help others in much the same way they have helped me. Most of the time, my poems come to me without invitation. I never intentionally really sit down to write poetry. I can be on public transport, in bed, in the bath, at the cinema, and something opens up and words begin to flow through me like silk. I liken my experience of channeling poetry to a waterfall cascading through my mind, and beautiful images and phrases pour through me like music. For so long now, I have kept notebooks by my bed and in my bag so I can immediately capture the words before they flit away. Nowadays, smartphones have a notes section, and much of this book was in fact written in the notes section on my phone in a typical air sign fashion. I tend to write better when my mind is relaxed, when I am out in nature or moving about freely. There is no logic to my process when it comes to poetry, and indeed any form of creative expression. Any form of art, in my opinion, is the pure expression of your soul at play. When we allow the soul to open up and lead the way, we are able to tap into greater expanses of joy and wonderment and appreciate life and the wider world around us. Is this then not the very description of what it is to live heaven on earth? You may not identify yourself as a poet, but every person on this planet has an innate gift or set of gifts that allows them to tap into their own unique creative ability. You might have a love of cooking, sewing, painting, drawing, or dance, but you may equally be someone who expresses their creativity through dabbling in mechanics or mathematics. Every brain is wired differently, and there are those who perceive science and technology as a form of music. They are all interrelated. It is through the doorway of our imagination that these aspects of our creative soul self really come to life. I urge you not to discount the part of you that likes to daydream. When we allow our minds to relax, observe, and play, our inner creative juices begin to flow. Poetry, art, or any form of creativity takes us into a meditative and relaxed state, where we may open to new possibilities and ideas, which will bring us greater joy in future. This is also the time when the archangels, angels, and our loving guides can most easily reach us and pour their inspiration and guidance into our hearts to help steer our lives in the best direction for each of us. As you work your way through this book and are using your imagination by engaging all of your extrasensory abilities, as well as your logical mind to engage in self-inquiry, access new solutions, awaken your ability to heal, bridge the left and right hemispheres of your brain, unify your masculine and feminine sides, and release old patterns, stuck emotions, and outdated mindsets, so you may elevate yourself to higher states of bliss. Okay, so there's a poem and there's a process that I'm going to share with you guys, and then I've got another poem that I'm going to read, and then we're going to do a little bit more of a process. So this is called Scattered Leaves of Mind, and it goes like this. Everything falls from these open hands. Not crumb nor morsel can withstand the fire that burns me now. I have come into its power, and I quiver as an arrow in its bow. I'm let loose like ashes blown, but this is a mark I do not know. I arc artfully towards what I cannot see, where I cannot know, but still I must let go, let go, let go. And in the throes of passion's dance, the fires of life grant me perhaps another chance to live, or else to face a death of what I could not conceive. Dancing about like wind-whipped leaves is the mind that cannot quite believe it's lost its grip and must let go and leave the ancient soul to lead. So there are a few exercises that you can do in order to explore your own kind of inner creativity. So one of them is writing your soul's poetry. So if you could pick up a pen and write the yearning of your soul down in words and think of the most beautiful words you could to write down, what would that sound like? It doesn't have to rhyme or make sense, but what are the most beautiful words you could use to describe your soul's essence in a poem? You could paint your soul's essence. You could write a love letter to your soul essence. You can nourish your soul with food. You can put on some uplifting music and dance to your soul's rhythm. You can sing your soul's purest note, which is a really beautiful process of going into the heart and just toning, just connecting to that deep well of love within your heart and letting the most natural sound come out. You can walk in step with your soul, so go on a nature walk and just tune into your heartbeat and walk to the rhythm of your heart and just really feel the alignment. Just really breathing in love and light and breathing in that nature, feeling supported by nature. And really you're connecting to your true nature in your intention. And then you never know what might flow through from there. And in your home, you could choose to build a beautiful altar to your own soul and put flowers and crystals and beautiful things on it. And there's countless other things that you can do. But all of this kind of takes you out of this everyday kind of chaos that we find ourselves in on the 3D level, and just really connects you to that beauty of your soul. So those are just a couple of suggestions. And I've got a few decks of cards as well, so I'm going to pull some cards, but I want to read this poem because it kind of speaks to me of the duality and that coming out of the belly of the beast kind of thing. I mean, if we think about that statement, we are the beast, you know, flesh and bone, you know, that whole 666, the number of the beast, really is, it's like a solar number. It's the reminder that actually we are the divine having a human experience. And where we've let being in a physical body limit us, we're now learning that we're not limited at all just because we're in a physical body. It's actually the physical body that anchors our wishes and intentions, and the physical body that the physical world and the physical body that helps us amplify our own frequency of heaven on earth. So again, it's flipping it. It's, if I don't like what I see, I'm going to create the world anew. I'm going to bring my frequency in and change the energy of the room or the place or the space where I am. So it's a poem by Alfred Tennyson, and it's called Duet. And I found it in this really beautiful, I got this from a vintage bookshop, but it's called The Faber Book of Love Poems. So it's only short, but it says, "It is the wind of the dawn that I hear in the pine overhead." Or is it the wind of the dawn that I hear in the pine overhead? No, but the voice of the deep as it hollows the cliffs of the land. Is there a voice coming up with the voice of the deep from the strand? One coming up with a song in the flush of the glimmering red. Love that is born of the deep, coming up with the sun from the sea. Love that can shape or can shatter a life till the life shall have fled. Nay, let us welcome him, love that can lift up a life from the dead. Keep him away from the lone little isle. Let us be, let us be. Nay, let him make it his own. Let him reign in it. He, it is he, love that is born of the deep, coming up with the sun from the sea. And it sort of gives me this feeling of rebirth, of like light from the dark, of like that hope returning, but also that it's got this thing of, can we trust it? Which we were talking about. Can I trust it? You know, is it going to be good, or is it going to scorch me or burn me? So it's this feeling of like, I kind of get this kind of coming up for air, and I really like it because it's like, yeah, we're still in duality, but we're having these glimpses of heaven on earth, and you know, the more we can create that for ourselves, the better. So a couple of decks that I just pulled out is we've got the Angels of Healing and Hope Oracle, and this is by Ellen Valadares. It's Yasmin Westwood has illustrated it. It's really lovely. I don't know if my light's kind of shining off it, but it's got really lovely turquoisey purpley colors, and that feels very lovely. So I'm just going to pull us a card here and see what card comes up. Ha ha ha. Yeah, you can't make it up, can you? Let love in. And what I'm drawn to here is she's wearing this beautiful red, and to me, red is really the color of, it's like the ruby ray. It's deep love, compassion, but also forgiveness. And I just get Mary Magdalene and Archangel Uriel in this. And if we think of Mary Magdalene, you know, levels of forgiveness, you know, like, honestly, all women, we are really brave warriors to have chosen to come into women's bodies in this lifetime, because we've got something like 2,000 years of forgiveness to really hold here. But it's like the doorway of her heart is opening, and I can actually see that there are, like, it looks like flowers and helium balloons in the heart. And it's like she's reaching out the heart, she's opening the door of it, but she's standing on the whole world. So it's the reminder that as we really reconnect to love for ourselves, and we offer that self-forgiveness to us for anything that we might have gone through, we're helping to heal the world through our own personal experiences. And the more of us that can choose love over fear in whatever way we need to, the more powerful we are. I'm also drawn to behind her is like these old kind of buildings. They look like old stone buildings and pillars, but it's like, it feels to me like it's like we're leaving the old ruins behind. Whatever's left in tatters, let it go. Don't hold on to the pain. It's like whatever you've had to move away from or step away from, or whatever caused you pain in the past or previously, it's like, can you be courageous and brave enough to forgive, not to forget, but to keep the lessons, but to forgive and move away from that pain. Be willing to kind of put it to bed now and not stay in the anguish. We have to move through. Yes, we have to integrate. Yes, we have to heal. We have to see it to heal it. We have to be in it to heal it. But I do get this again, there's a window opening here and shards of light coming in. And it's let the love in, let it in, don't be afraid of it, trust it, really trust it and let it grow. Let it grow within your heart, let it amplify, let it take up space. You're ready, it's time. We're coming out of the belly of the beast. So that's really a stunning card. I really like these cards, they're really beautiful. And in confirmation for our Nuriel process, we have the fire element as well coming in. And that's really the colors that I see with that Nuriel. Beautiful flaming wings. And she's got like a sunflower on her head as well. I don't know if you can see it. So beautiful. I'm kind of getting, she's looking up as well. She's looking at the sun. She's looking to the light. I'm getting, what is your inspiration? What brings you inspiration, illumination, ideas? This is very much higher mind. And I'm just going to see if there's a third one in this deck that wants to pop out for the group. Got two. Precious time. Precious time. And I feel like this is spending time with you, with your soul, with yourself. Where can you carve out more time for you to, and my lights are going, so that's a yes, as always the way, the flickering. Thank you, teams. Precious time. Give yourself more time to rest, to relax, to replenish, to create, to connect with what is more on purpose and on point for you, and without feeling guilty and saying no to people. And then I've got spread your wings. And I love this because I actually had the mushroom spirit come in this afternoon in another session, and mushrooms are so joyful as beings. So there's lots of joy. It's like, get excited. I kind of feel like this card is showing me we're about to take a leap into a whole new dimension, and there's a dragonfly sitting on it behind her as well, which is all about renewal and rebirth. We've had so many levels of rebirth in recent years. It just feels like death, rebirth, bang, 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 bang. But it feels like this is the beginnings of this lasting kind of long drawn out lifting, almost like a sailing up rather than a rocket ship. So I have good feelings about 2025, but I'm under no illusions. You know, it's not like a fantastical, daydreamy, it's going to be amazing. It's just I'm curiously excited about what's coming up. I think we're not done with the purge of, you know, the old stuff on the planet, but I think those of us that have done a lot of the personal purging are going to find it easier than others, and we're very much here as way showers to hold the hands of others. There's something coming through as a message around this, is to trust in the light for yourself, know that you've done the work. And even though you're helping people that are going through painful times, or there are still people going through their painful times, do not let them drag you into theirs. Don't be pulled backwards. You know that you're ready to sail forward. And there's a part here that's like the misery loves company thing. Do not feel guilty for being happy. Do not let yourself feel guilty or feel bad or feel like you're taking away from somebody else by following your joy, your success, your fulfillment, your pleasure, your desires. You're a living example of embodied heaven on earth, and never to forget that. You are literally holding that flame for everyone, for yourself especially, and it's about being your own cheerleader, your own champion, and your own lamp in the dark. you can't go backwards. You're not going back into the underworld. The initiation is done. And I really got that message in Egypt on our retreat recently. We were like having private time in the King's Chamber, and every other time I've been in there, we've been allowed to go and lie down in the sarcophagus. And this time we weren't allowed, and my guides were like, you are not going back in there. You're not going back into the underworld. You've got to look to the light now. And I really felt it was a message for humanity, but especially those of us that have really been doing the work and holding that, being the way showers. So I love this card. I love it. And thank you to lovely Diana Cooper for this deck. It's a lovely deck. So it's the first card in the pack, and it says the population. But on the lines of what I was just saying, it says seize your opportunities. Seize them. Don't give them away. How often have we supported everyone else to go off into the horizon, it's fine. You go for it. Take my ideas. I used to do that all the time in the past. And it's like, no, this one's for me, but you guys have your own path. That's great. When something comes to you, and comes through you as an idea or an inspiration, know that it's coming to you because you are the perfect conduit for it. You are the perfect channel for what is being given to you directly by Spirit. And you don't need anyone else's permission, acknowledgement, or whatever, or even their support necessarily. It's like, you got it. No more imposter syndrome. Believe in yourself, trust in yourself, and just let your soul lead you. And I'm really drawn to the third eye and the crown here. This is the Ark of the Covenant between the pineal and the pituitary, really sparking, and the rainbow colors coming through it. And again, look, we have a window with a shard of light coming through again, really pouring through, and it's kind of all coming into her heart. There's also a butterfly in the card, and I'm really drawn to the daisy, which is all about the purity. So all the purging, all the purification, those that have really been boots on the ground, in the shadow, in the muck for the last few years. I mean, some for 10, 20 years, some of it it's just been a lifetime's work or more. It's like, take the moments of respite when they come. Don't feel like you got to stay down there in the quagmire of the rubbish. And yeah, it's like, look at all these people doing their thing. You carve your own path. So to the beat of your own drum. I'm going to just pull a couple more from this deck. I really like this deck. This is the Golden Future Oracle, so it feels very, very good. On point again. Creativity. Express your soul's energy. And again, we've got the wise owl. We've got the feather. There's the feather quill pen. We've got dolphins and ducklings and child meditating. We've got lots of inspiration coming through this card. Lots of rainbow colors again. And again, just this light, like random light, just like an orb. Yeah, and it's sort of showing, kind of following this golden thread, which again just reminds me of Nuriel's light, but it's also like the web of inspiration. It's like you're co-creating with the universe. It's your DNA being activated and your gifts coming online. So I feel we need one more of these. Beautiful. So we've got two that have come out again. Actually, I'm going to pull these three out because I think they're all relevant. So we've got spiritual technology. So we can't avoid technology, and there's always two sides to every coin. And even though we've talked about the Wi-Fi and the things in the ethers, but I think there are those of us that are equipped and able to pour love back to the source of the technology and transmute it. So if you feel stuff coming through the ethers in the technology, is to use it for good. I really believe we're teaching the AI to be loving and kind to humanity so we can work co-creatively with it. And this is where I think we're going to have leaps and bounds in technology, using it for good, not using it for ill. And that feels really good. And it says, expand your imagination and share your visions. So again, your creativity being amplified. We also have Group consciousness, embrace your oneness. And here we are in a group, really, and I've got these two birds. I think of birds of a feather flock together. So this really feels like reassurance. It's card 44 in the pack, which is very angelic. And it's sort of saying, if you don't fit in one group, find a group you fit in or create one. Be the leader. Call your flock to you. You don't have to belong to a group where you don't fit or where you're uncomfortable. And for those of you who have been getting that time and time again, it may be that you're just being called to create your own community, and you set the container of the frequency and the parameters for that community. And, I'm really drawn to those beautiful, the 4 agreements, which is to be impeccable with your word, don't take anything personally, don't make assumptions, and always do your best. And I was recommending that to another client who's in the spiritualist churches, and she'd found that there was a little bit of toxicity coming through that, a little bit of backstabbing and things going on, but she's been asked to lead a group, and I said, well, why don't you suggest this as part of your leadership of the group, bring everyone back into that love frequency, and just have that as an agreement. And then we have the travel card. So lots of travel, but we know that travel isn't always physical travel. It can be spiritual travel and journeying within. And again, I just get lots of inspiration and beauty in here, and other ways to explore your inner and outer world. And again, I think there's new technologies coming in that are going to help us speed up travel and make travel more accessible to people, even though there seems to have been attempts to limit travel. I don't think that's going to work. I think there's going to be actually more ways to travel that are going to be healing for the environment, and again, new technologies coming through. So I feel hopeful about this. But if ever you feel stuck or lost, journey on your own pathway. Maybe do a path working and think about, what does my future look like from where I sit here, and how can I change that by changing my thoughts, feelings, and emotions, and pick a new adventure. So always remembering that we have that power within us. So there's a lot transforming and going on. There's a lot kind of sifting through the ethers, and again, it's not linear. There's kind of all these timelines happening at once, and I keep just being drawn to this duality. Which timeline are you going to choose? What does home feel like to you? What does heaven on earth feel like to you? What would you imagine it would feel like to be totally safe and secure in your own skin? And if you were the one that was in charge of creating the world in that level of oneness, in that unity, love consciousness, what world are you creating? What frequency are you putting out into the world? So I'm going to suggest that before we do another process, that we just take a quick comfort break. We might have a quick 5-minute sort of loo break and get a drink or a tea if anyone wants any. So it's about 1/4 here, so we'll come back around 20 past, and we'll start again from there. Okay, so we'll just wait for everyone to come back on, but I've just realised it's 2020. The restart happens at the double numbers, always. Amazing. So I've got some really beautiful beings that want to come through with a message. So we're just going to come into a really lovely meditative space. And I'm just going to invite you to just get comfortable, close your eyes, and just drop into your heart center. And just feel the wings of the heart opening, or the door to the heart opening, or feel the heart blossoming in whatever way you need to imagine your heart just fully opening, allowing yourself to sit in the safety and the sanctity of your own heart space. And then imagining that as you kind of come into yourself through the heart, really holding yourself in unconditional love, that you can drop your awareness into your solar plexus, in that upper part of your belly, into your power center. And I want you to just be with this place, this central place, this place of your power. And if there's any constriction here or any sense of either blockage or expansiveness, however you're feeling in that space, I just want you to be with it for a minute. It might be that there's a little bit of uncertainty. But I want you to just let go of the word power for a minute in this space. And imagine yourself just centering in yourself, just coming to the very center of yourself. And here I want you to imagine that there's a little bit of space opening up, almost like a cavern or a hidden secret location or doorway or portal opening through that solar plexus. And I want you to imagine that you're entering into your own inner chamber of beauty. And almost imagine that you're journeying into this space, or floating into this space, or dropping into this space, or flying into this space. You might imagine yourself walking deeper into yourself down a corridor of light. And really coming into the seat or the house of your inner beauty here, and see it lit up in golden light. And as you come into this space, I want you to imagine it's like a beautiful chamber of light, and you can walk around and explore it. And you might see different treasures in here. There might be a beautiful chair or a throne that you can sit on. And overlit, or overlighting this space, we have coming into our midst a beautiful, beautiful Egyptian queen. And her name is Nefertiti, and she was known as the Beautiful One. And it's interesting that she's come in tonight, because earlier today I was sitting at my desk and I was holding my pen, and out of nowhere my pen shot out of my hand and flew across my room, flew across my office, and landed on the floor. And when I looked down at the floor, I could see the shadow of Nefertiti's bust, that famous bust that's in the German museum with the big headdress. I could see her shadow on the floor, and I thought, well, that's interesting. But she's really come into our midst here. And first of all, she's asking us to tune into our definition of beauty. What is our definition of beauty? And of course, we have the obvious outer beauty. And of course, she had a really beautiful face, so she was really known as beautiful. But how much in our world, how much value do we put on that outer beauty? And how much does that take our focus away from our true inner beauty? And yes, you know, we might look in the mirror and see that we have things that are pleasing to the eye and things that we might quibble over or pick at ourselves over. But in this space, I want you to look around you and imagine that representations of your beauty in all its forms, your own beauty, are being shown to you. And you might start to be becoming aware of not just the beauty that you hold, but the ways in which you bring more beauty into the world for others. And these are the kinds of gifts that we often overlook in ourselves, but that others are able to see in us. And what I'm being told by the guides is that our kind of either reluctance to really see and embody these gifts is part of the reason why it's almost like others can see it in us. And sometimes others champion us in it, and sometimes they can be envious of it or try to take it from us. But either way, whenever the focus in the external is on this part of us, it's because the universe is trying to get us to see it for ourselves and value it for ourselves and take ownership of it for ourselves. It might just be that one of your gifts is the ability to hold light and shine. It could be that you have a particular talent. It could be a particular way of seeing the world. It could even be something as simple as the sound of your voice, or the frequency, or the way that you speak. It could be that you have healing energy. It could be all of the above. Again, it could be art, music, poetry, or any of the above. It could just be that you have a really amazing gift for listening and meeting others where they are and letting them be seen and held. But I want you to really sit in this space for a moment and ask your higher self, are there any particular gifts of beauty that I am not seeing in myself and that I need to take ownership of? Is there something that I am not aware of that others are seeing, or that I have squashed, or that I am afraid to show the world for fear of attack or for fear of being exposed in some way? And we're going to spend a couple of minutes just tuning into that. First of all, is there anything I'm not seeing in myself that I need to be made aware of? And then I want you to ask yourself, why would I be resisting this gift? Why would I not be wanting to see this in myself? And how would it be serving me? We know it's probably not serving you to not see it. But sometimes we go into a self-protection where either we're afraid to use our gifts and talents because we don't want to misuse them, or again, we might be afraid. In the past, we might have been persecuted for them. But I just want you to ask yourself, why would I keep this under wraps? Why would I want to hide this? Why would I resist using this? And I particularly want you to feel into, around this gift, if there is any fear of your own power in relation to this gift. So I want you to ask your higher self if you have any soul agreements, vows, or contracts around not using this gift. Perhaps it's like, well, I was killed for this gift in a past life, or I was persecuted, or I was locked up, or whatever it is, or as a child I was bullied for it, or any parts of those stories. And we're just going to ask any nuances that you have, like, why are you fearing it? Why would you not want to share it or reveal it to the world, especially coming from any previous experiences with it? And we're going to ask that if you have any soul contracts or agreements around it, because you've experienced it, we're going to ask to dissolve those contracts now. We're going to complete those contracts, and we're just going to ask to release them. And you might see these like cords clearing, or scrolls or parchments being thrown on a fire, or a contract being stamped as done. And we're just going to burn it all out of our Akashic records. And now, again, I want you to ask your higher self, what did I need to learn? What was the lesson or the blessing in this agreeing to keep this hidden or under wraps? What was I needing to learn? And the biggest thing coming through for the group here is that part of this was an agreement to experience separation from the divine. It was part of that agreement. It was part of hiding core parts of ourselves from ourselves so that we would have to turn, we'd be forced to turn and look within to find our way home. So we're going to release that from the group, that anywhere we decided to hide the parts of our inner beauty, the divine parts of ourselves, our gifts, our talents, our essence. So that we'd have to go on a treasure hunt to reconnect or reunify, so that we needed to experience separation from the divine as part of the human experiment. Well, again, we're going to tick that box done, and we're going to dissolve that contract now. And we're going to give ourselves permission to reconnect with our divinity, to reconnect with our inner beauty, and to be able to have permission to walk the path of beauty as part of our reconnection to the divine. So many of us have known the path of suffering in order to find the divine in the darkness. And now is the time that we can say yes to a different path. Now it's time to return to a lighter path, an easier path, a more joyful path, because there are many roads to the divine. One of those most beautiful roads is the path of joy, is the path of beauty. And this is something the Sufi mystics and poets wrote about quite a lot, that state of euphoria, when you see the whirling dervishes and they're just in ecstasy and devotion to the divine, and they're just lit up, dancing away. And it's a euphoric path. So we're going to release that old path that we agreed to keep this hidden in order to experience separation. And we now give permission for this inner beauty to shine forth, so that we can connect with it and we can learn how to use it for our highest good with harm to none. And then as we reconnect to it, we reconnect to our divinity, or a particular aspect of our divinity that has been really either distorted or taken from us or hidden from us in the collective as well, and reclaim it. One of the really strong messages that's coming through as well tonight is the distortion in our sexual energy, and how much, especially as women or those on a feminine path, we've had to suppress that, or we've had to hide from that, or we've not been able to claim the power in that, and a lot of it's been siphoned and taken away. So it's a reclamation of that, knowing that our Kundalini energy, our sexual energy, is also a path to the divine, and our ability to connect to physical pleasure is part of that divinity. It's also a part of us that connects us to our inner magnetism and allows us to connect to the creative spark within, so that we can manifest our desires, so that we can magnetize to us more of what we need. And that includes money, abundance, prosperity, generosity, the things that we need to support us to move forward on our path and our purpose, to really allow us to live our purpose on the planet, so that we're supported on a physical, material level, as well as that spiritual, emotional, mental level. But whatever the gift is for you, just allow it to come up and blossom within you as an energy. You might see it like a flower blossoming, coming really up into your heart. Invite it into your heart as though you're welcoming it home, like a prodigal child. See it like a beautiful rose blossoming in your heart. Almost like the stem of it comes all the way up through the body and then opens here. And bring yourself into a lovely state of self-acceptance. And you might be aware of, again, like resistance in the body, or even aches or pains in the body as this starts to blossom and grow. And just know that there's quite a lot releasing around this. And one of the programs that we are releasing and giving permission to dissolve is denial, self-denial. And that can play out very simply in this timeline as maybe not being able to receive compliments, or someone says, "Oh my God, you look amazing," and you're like, "Oh no, just stop it. No." And things like that. Or you've done a great job. "Oh, it was nothing." And where we don't claim that kind of the acknowledgement or the celebration or the glory that comes with our beautiful gifts. Where have you shrunk yourself to try to make others feel safe or better or not fit in? Where have you felt like you've had to say, but why are they bullying me? What have I got? Who am I? That feeling. Or on the other side, why do they want me? Why are they picking me? Why are they choosing me? And really take ownership of your brilliance. Take ownership of your genius. Take ownership of your gifts. Take ownership of your beauty and your talents. Know that these gifts, talents, this inner beauty is godly given. It's an innate part of who you are. It's part of your essence. And I want you to ask yourself, have you got any judgments around this gift? Is there any part of you that sees it as bad or wrong or even shameful? And then ask yourself, but what is the positive side of this? How could I use this for good? How could I bring this and use it as a way to create even more beauty on this planet? And let it blossom even further up into the mind, and just feel another layer of beautiful, like branches of this, or stems of this beautiful rose blossoming, like a trailing rose coming up through the body. And let many blooms blossom in the mind, opening for inspiration and ideas. And then we're going to reach it up, allowing it to grow all the way up through our soul star chakra and all the way up into the divine, and just see this huge blossoming rose connecting up to infinite source as we offer our gifts and talents and our inner beauty in devotion to source, in devotion to the divine, in beautiful devotion to our path and our purpose. And then be aware of these roses just blooming all over your body, bringing these gifts, feeling it blossoming in your DNA, feeling your inner beauty coming out, and it's almost like a sprouting in fertile soil. The more you put your focus on it and you allow it to come up and out. But also know that you're protected in it, because while the rose has these beautiful blooms, it's also covered in thorns. So if there is anybody that tries to disrespect you or your purpose, you have permission to use your fierce love when you need to and say hell no, or heavens no, you're not coming into my space. And this is about really creating healthy boundaries. And what I'm being shown as these roses blossom all over us and our beauty comes out to play, merging with that ring of Nuriel's powerful fire, we have a beautiful spiraling vine of rosy thorns. It's like the DNA helix, or spiraling up through our energy field. And what the guides are saying is, this is no crown of thorns. This is not a suffering program. This is a protection. So you're allowed to let your claws come out in love, with harm to none, to protect your space when you need to. But also you'll know that those that are coming in honoring will know their way through that kind of viney protection, that they won't get hurt by the thorns. They will not come up against that fierceness in you, because they will tread tenderly, beautifully, softly, lovingly, respectfully around you. There is a way in, and it is through love, and it is through meeting you in heart-to-heart, unconditional love and honoring. And so this is really these two parts of you working in tandem, so that soft, vulnerable part of you feels safe to blossom. But it's like your masculine warrior has got the swords out for anyone that would trample on your garden. And we're just going to allow this to be encoded, because our most beautiful parts are the God-given gifts that we came to share with the world. But we know that through the ages, there's been a lot of abuse towards those that would use these gifts, because there has been an agenda on the planet. That agenda is very very gradually withdrawing, and a new world is opening. And so you can be very, very gentle with yourself as you begin to explore these gifts and talents and this inner beauty. And there might be more than one of these that you've discovered tonight, or there might be something about it that you've always known was there, but you were afraid to share it on a bigger level, or you didn't want to kind of dabble in it, or you thought, maybe it was there as a child. But whatever this is, it is an innate part of your essence. And it is meant to be connected with and explored lovingly, graciously, and gently. Nefertiti is really showing me that she was fair of face, she was beautiful. But that was the least thing that she focused on in terms of tending to her beauty. She walked the path of the heart. She was in sacred union with Akhenaten. She wanted to create a beautiful world and community, not just for herself and her children, but for her whole community. And they wanted to create a microcosm of a macrocosm. And I believe personally that the 18th dynasty of Egypt was one of the last really galactic hybrid families, divine, really, really divine kind of high-level soul families in that civilization. And like Magdalene and Yeshua, they really led by example. It was sacred union within and without. And she's just really showing me how much love she had to give everyone. Even those that harmed her, she was so forgiving of them. And I get an image of her walking hand in hand with Mary Magdalene, and that there's a resonance between those two women. That they really were forerunners and way showers of their time. They really were embodiments of love and compassion and inner and outer beauty. And there was a resilience, a strength of heart, even though they were both very badly persecuted, even killed. I believe Nefertiti was potentially murdered, but that's just my belief. They held light in the face of great darkness, and they're sort of part of a lineage of these women that have passed that light from generation to generation to generation, and allowed it to be held on this planet in times of great darkness. Now we're returning to a time of great light, and we're really diving into it now. And we're being asked to hold that hope in our hearts, that that time of darkness is coming to an end, and we are stepping back into an amazing, blossoming, golden dawn for humanity, and that begins within our own hearts. So as we say yes to our embodiment of our godly given gifts, our heaven on earth, our pleasure, our joy, our divinity, we are really opening the way for everybody to do the same. As we kind of dance to the beat of our own drum, we carve our own path. So I want you to imagine if you were to open a new door in your life into a much, much more beautiful future. I want you to open that door in your mind's eye now. And I want you to just ask yourself, what is one thing that I can start beginning tomorrow morning, or tomorrow, or the next day, but as soon as I can? What is one thing I can gift myself in order to connect to this innate beauty within me and allow it to blossom? And even if I'm not quite ready to share it with others, how can I explore it more for myself? How can I really start to play with it so that I can learn all the facets of it if I don't feel ready to share it yet? And maybe it's something I don't have to ever share more publicly, but as long as I know it's there, and as long as I'm using it for my own pleasure, my own self-worth, my own beauty, to create for myself a more beautiful world for me, then I'm truly embodying the way of beauty in my daily life. and connecting more with my source, my spirit. And that is truly sanctified. That is absolutely part of your soul's truth. We don't always have to do it through hardship and suffering and pain. There are other paths to the divine. And beauty and pleasure and joy and bliss and euphoria, glee, high vibration is a really beautiful path to take to balance out some of that gloom. So we're going to invite more of that into our daily lives. And I just want you to see you walking through that door now and just see all the colors and the blossoming and the beauty awaiting you on the other side. And I want you to go through that door into the way of beauty if you feel that you want to. It's always a choice. And then close the door of hardship behind you on a new timeline. And I'm just hearing the phrase, hope springs eternal. And it's like the wellspring of hope reopening in our hearts and our minds, giving us permission to have faith again, to hope again, to trust in that hope, to expect the best, and not take anything less. So knowing that all that blossoming and all that protection is in your energy field now, really allow it to just integrate. We can let go of all the visions and the images and just bring your awareness back into your own body, your own space. Just see yourself traveling back out of your solar plexus, but bringing all those gifts out with you. We know they've blossomed all around you, but know that you're carrying them out as a treasure into your daily waking life to allow you to work with them in the here and now. We're just going to imagine that it's like we're carrying a gold overflowing treasure chest of all these gifts out of ourselves and almost putting it down in front of us so we can really take a good look at it. And this symbol of a treasure chest, I want you to remember, because somewhere in your daily life, in the next days or weeks, you're going to see images of treasure, okay? Or a treasure chest, or like pirate's booty. You're going to bounty, but booty sounds like a pirate's bum. Anyway, that kind of overflowing treasure chest is the symbol that we are to look out for. And every time we see it, we're going to be reminded of our innate gifts. And we are to know that there's more even there. So anytime you want to re-listen to this, go back and do the process again, you can, and you're likely to find more and new and different gifts, because we are divine. And because we are divine, we are infinite. And this is tapping into your inner genius. You will always find new gifts, talents, and abilities and more resources within yourself. There is no limit to it. So don't worry that it's going to run out. And don't be afraid that if you succeed in your life's mission or purpose, whatever that is, that it's going to be the end of everything, because more than likely we step up into a new timeline and a new purpose and a new mission. And that happens whether we're on planet or beyond. We go on evolving. So I just want you to imagine that you can hear a beautiful tone or beautiful music or a beautiful song coming out of your heart. It might be a song that you know. It could just be a beautiful tone or tinkling of bells, but it's your own soul's innate music. And it's like your theme tune. I always think of Ally McBeal had a theme tune. So it could be an uplifting song that you already know. I just want you to imagine that there's music playing out of your heart. And this music is harmonizing you to your highest soul self, your highest community. It's a frequency that is calling in those that are operating on the same or similar frequency to you, who understand you and get you. So we're going to allow that frequency, that love frequency of, it's an invitation to be met at the same frequency that you're operating at. And that frequency being unconditional love and non-judgment, fairness and grace, feeling safe, to be held, to be seen, to be heard, and to be celebrated. Finally, we're just going to allow any old wounds or heartbreaks in our energy field to seal up in light. We're going to let those old timelines of pain and persecution and wounding, as much as we can in this moment, be released. So I see like this feeling of like knives coming out of our backs, and like all the weapons that have been used and all the deaths that we've died and all those old things just dissolving around us. And it's like, okay, we get the lesson. We needed that to happen so that we would look within, so that we would know our worth. So we are done with that. Okay, we no longer need the persecution in order to know that we are valuable, in order to know that we are divine, in order to chase us back towards our unity. Now we know it, we embody it, and we walk forward in joy. So taking a nice deep breath in, just really connect to your physical body, really allow yourselves to come back into the here and now, start to be aware of the room around you. And we're just being given a beautiful pink bubble of light all the way around us, a beautiful protection, and it is the energy of divine love that is protecting us. And it's just putting this bubble in our energy field that says anything that isn't aligned to this divine love, just to melt away, just to dissolve away from us, just to transmute into love, just so that you can feel safe in your own space, in your own skin. But as extra layer, just in case, Archangel Michael is placing the indigo ray and the golden ray all the way around that bubble, just to seal our fields. And the message is just to go forward in beauty and say yes to more experiences that bring beauty into your life and more opportunities for you to create more beauty that you can put out into the world in whatever way resonates with you and you see fit to share and feel called to share. And on that note, that completes our process. So you can open your eyes and come all the way back when you feel ready. Just take a nice deep breath in, breathe in that pink light, just breathe it in. Breathe in beauty, breathe in love, breathe in light. And you know, if only in this moment, in this group, you allow yourself to feel safe, let yourself really feel that safety. Let yourself really feel seen and held. Let yourself allow yourself the pleasure of that trust in this moment. Let go of anywhere else you have felt unsafe. And in this now moment, really relish it, really cherish it. Really come home to yourself. I feel this like almost deeply emotional sense of relief. And that's okay. Sometimes we don't trust that feeling of relief. Let yourself trust it. And I kind of feel this kind of almost like the tension in the solar plexus, just, oh. So just imagine that feeling of relief. Oh, it's safe here. It's okay here. The angels have got us. We've got each other. We're a small group, but we're a mighty group. There ain't no judgment in this group. And I love that. And I love you guys for showing up and sharing this with me whenever you can. Because I really need it too. I really need it too. And, you know, just bless you all and really let yourself perceive of your highest potential and go for it. Just go for it. Just glow. Just shine. So I'm going to stop our recording now, and we've got a little bit of time to have a final group share, and I just want to check in with you guys and see how you're doing. But just to say a huge thank you from my heart for sharing tonight. I kind of feel like tonight's gone on quite a long time. I feel like we've stretched time and had loads of time to like share and kind of delve in and do the processing. So I don't know whether my clock is broken, but we're really like, it feels really beautiful. So thank you so much.